Contrary to popular belief, psychology is not just about individual well being, it also offers valuable insights into political and societal matters. In fact, we often measure the effectiveness of politics based on its psychological impact. And if we examine things clearly enough, it becomes obvious that we also judge one's psychological state based on its sociological impact. For example, psychopathy is only truly considered a disorder because the behavior of psychopaths is antithetical to the benefit of society. As such, we can and should use a psychological perspective to examine different political ideologies and the people who hold them. And this is exactly what I'm going to do, starting off today with the ideology of fascism. Now, when it comes to discussing fascism, it's crucial to have a clear understanding of what we're talking about. So, let me give you a clear and concise explanation of what fascism is. Fascism is a political system in which 1. Political power is centralized under one authority. 2. There is belief in a social or biological supremacy that can be based on nation or race. And 3. There is no tolerance towards those who are against either the authority or the belief in this supremacy. Examples of fascism include the National Fascist Party of Italy back in World War II, the Nazi Party, and the British Union of Fascists. Now, there are significant differences between different types of fascism. For example, German fascism was mostly based on race and racial superiority of the German people, whereas British fascism was mostly based on national superiority. And that's why you see some misconceptions about who is a fascist and who is not, because there are some types of fascism that aren't racist, some types of fascism that aren't nationalistic. But somehow people just sort of use the word fascism in order to label anyone they don't like. But going back to the premise of the video, what are the psychological roots of fascism? Let's look at the five big personality traits: extroversion, agreeableness, openness, conscientiousness, and neuroticism. Even at first glance, some traits are very obvious. People who subscribe to fascism are often very low in openness, since they have zero tolerance for any views that go against their dogmatic beliefs, and they are against the very essence of a democracy. Typically, they are also very high on neuroticism. This is mainly because individuals who have a natural tendency towards anxiety and depression usually see the world in a more negative way than most people. And in order to really be a fascist, you have to look at the present world as a dismal place where everything is wrong and everything is against you. This is also why communists and socialists tend to be very neurotic, just like the fascists. As far as extroversion goes, there isn't any particular tendency here. For the remaining two personality traits, however, we need to take a deeper look into the psychology of the fascist. First, agreeableness. This may come as a surprise to some, but fascists are, in a strange way, very much agreeable. They have a need for central authority in their lives. There needs to be some supreme master, be it Hitler, Mussolini, Mosley, or any other central figure or government. They want to be told what to do. They need to be told what to do. They don't want there to be any liberty, and this includes themselves. Sure, they may have more freedom than the inferior group of their choice, but ultimately their whole existence has the purpose of serving the great dictator or the great party. Moving on to the last trait, we have conscientiousness. Here too, the fascist is on the extremes. Fascists are extremely conscientious. This may also be linked to the reason why they want to have a central authority telling them what to do, but it isn't just about that. It is about the fact that the world is very chaotic and disorganized, and if there is one thing that conscientious people hate the most, it is disorder and chaos. The fascist feels the need to impose absolute order on the world, because that's how he is as a person. Hitler, for instance, used to have more than 5 baths every single day, which shows his obsession with cleanliness and order. He was also obsessed with discipline. It is rumored that he could hold his famous Nazi salute for multiple hours without letting his hand drop down, and he was doing that with pride because it was supposed to be a sign of the discipline that he had. For the final part of our psychological analysis, let's talk about life experiences. Because obviously, simply having a disposition to the personality traits I talked about does not turn you into a fascist. However, there are certain kinds of experiences and circumstances that might make a person of this type turn towards fascism. First, mass immigration and poverty. As a person who has been living in Greece for over 18 years, I happen to know some things about mass immigration and how it affects politics. In 2015, for instance, a neo Nazi party called Golden Dawn managed to become the third most popular party in the whole country. This was in large part because of two reasons. One was the economic crisis, and the other was mass immigration. For an individual who is in poverty, having the increased crime rate that inevitably comes when millions of poor immigrants flood the country may very well make you blame the immigrants for all your problems, which in turn reinforces the fascist ideas of racism and nationalism, as well as a general anti systemic frame of thinking. When it comes to personal relationships, we can generally say that social disappointment and rejection can open the door to fascist thinking. Being very low status can make someone resentful towards society. It can create the sense that he has been treated unfairly and that someone must restore fairness and order for the world. It can also spark the desire to deem himself superior to others by creating a narrative that his group identity is naturally better than others. And as such, he can then sort of define himself into social superiority, since he is incapable of doing so by his own merit. It is after all no surprise that a large portion of the world's most famous fascists were outcasts in their early lives and were very often sexually incompetent. So, this, in conclusion, has been my general overview of the psychology of fascism. I will continue to make these kinds of videos for other ideologies as well, so stay tuned and subscribe to the channel. As for now, thank you for watching.